Producer Ivan Katz here. Behind me, the Omni Shoreham Hotel. Why do we care? Because on Tuesday, February 11th, 1964, the Beatles stayed here for 4 nights and performed their first concert in Washington, D.C., and it was quite eventful. I'm going to tell you everything about it. Let's get going. There it is in the distance, right here. So this is it today, but back in the day, well, it looked basically the same, but you had thousands of screaming fans, a lot of girls, very excited because everybody knew the Beatles were staying here after a while. But there was a huge snowstorm, and they had to take a train from New York to get here. They were supposed to fly, but that wasn't the case. So they put an extra coach onto the Pennsylvania line of the railroad, and they got on down here. But when they got into that railroad, it was full of press. So when they got here, well, the manager, Mr. Hollywood, that was actually his name, he took really good care of them. They took over the whole floor, and I think it was the 7th floor, and one family was actually, they refused to leave. So they told them that the electricity had problems and the plumbing had problems, and they had to move. So eventually they moved. The Beatles got the whole floor. They had guards up and down the floor, and they really enjoyed their stay here, actually. So that's a good thing. But inside there's a special display. Let's go see that. Pretty swanky inside, but the Beatles were more interested in keeping quiet on their private floor, really. And here is that special display. As I said, on Tuesday, February 11th, that's just 2 days after they played the Ed Sullivan Show, they performed at the Washington Coliseum, which is now it's a Uline Arena, and I think it's now might even be a REI headquarters downtown. But he did actually jot down, when I say he did, John Lennon jotted down their set list here. So you can see Roll Over Beethoven, From Me to You, and on and on and on. I saw her standing there, This Boy. And every few songs, they would actually rotate the stage. I've seen that whole concert. It was shot on really high definition video for back then that they used for boxing, and it was a theater in the round. So they switched Ringo's drums, and they basically played to all of the people there. It was 8,091 people. So almost 81 people. Pretty cool. And let me get in and zoom in here. There we go. Sorry about that lack of focus, but what a show. People were throwing jelly beans at them because they knew that the Beatles liked the jelly beans, and so that's what they were doing. It's kind of interesting, actually, but they were not thrilled because they were getting pelted pretty hard from all angles because it was a theater in the round, and they were being hit from every single side. So they didn't have any fond recollections of that, certainly. But this is actually a copy of the set list he jotted down, and he would have been playing his Rickenbacker 325 guitar, and I have a video of that elsewhere on YouTube, so you should really check that out too. But more on the Omni Shoreham here. They did have a really nice stay. They ordered up things like a hair dryer and things like that they needed. Most people just combed their hair back then, but they needed a hair dryer, so they borrowed a hair dryer. In terms of their exit, this is kind of a cool story. Mr. Hollywood, the hotel's manager, well, he said that he really hooked them up. He made it so that they could get out safely, basically. There were so many people in Union Station, and when they got to D.C., they were really crammed up against the wall, and it was not too good. It was like a hard day's night, according to the Beatles, and they were not really enjoying the reality of it all. They were almost crushed and things like that. Also, when they went to the British Embassy, after the show, they were having signings from, dignitaries and things like that. Someone came up behind Ringo and cut off a piece of his hair, and that really, really pissed the band off. And John Lennon actually just left right in the middle. and he told their manager never to schedule anything like that again. So that's a crazy story too. But anyway, the manager, Mr. Hollywood, he actually made it so they could make a very clean getaway, and I'll show you how that happened. By the way, they took over the whole 6th floor of this hotel, actually. And that suite is now a presidential suite. Also in this hotel was the Blue Room, where JFK actually was dating Jackie Onassis back in the day. So they used to come here, and all of these people used to perform here too. Basically a who's who of all the performers back in the day. Lipper Hutchie, Jimi Hendrix, Sonny and Cher, Frank Sinatra, they were all here. But a girl actually at the end of this concert, along with other girls, were trying to pick up maybe some jelly beans that had been squashed by the Beatles. And one of them was handed the original set list by a police officer. And that was sold, after she had it for about 30 years, was sold to a famous Beatles collector. And but she had it for 30 years, actually. So that is pretty cool. Now, to their exit strategy. So, Mr. Hollywood, the hotel's manager, lined up a couple limousines out here, and the throngs and throngs of fans were, of course, waiting around there. But in reality, what he did is he had lined up a bus out here, and they snuck away through the kitchen into the bus. And the throngs of fans, after the fake limousines left, were very, very sad and crying, and he felt very bad about it. But his duty, of course, was to protect the Beatles. Now, the Stones actually also stayed in this hotel shortly after. But there you go. There's the story and all the juicy bits from the Beatles' first visit to the DC area, and right after the Ed Sullivan Show and their first concert in America. So cool, really. If you like these pop culture videos, check out Jim Morrison's Life and Death in Paris. Also Jim Morrison's life just up the street here in Alexandria, Virginia, where he graduated from high school. I show you his house as well as his high school, and places where he actually did his first poetry readings and things like that. So check that one out. Basically, Andy Warhol's life in Pittsburgh, his house, his school, and his church. Banksy's art in Bristol. Upcoming, I have Jimi Hendrix's life in and also death in England, and we also have a very special Beatles video from England and Liverpool, and let me tell you, something very special happens. You have to watch that too. Check out my Free Your Mind music video. Check out all my car videos. If you like cars, I am driving Ivans. Check those out. And I'll be doing more of these pop culture videos. Follow me on TikTok at Ink Video, INK Video, and you'll see song stories, the stories behind songs, kind of like I'm giving you right now. More details than you could ever imagine on some of these songs. Watch me play all the instruments on many songs like Hotel California, Louie Louie, a couple Smith songs, REM songs, including Losing My Religion, Laughing, Radio Free Europe. Great songs like that. Squeeze, Another Nail for My Heart, that's a great song. And Ink Video on YouTube is also just me playing solo acoustic songs. I have a lot of original music out there. I hope you'll check it out. I hope you'll contribute on my Patreon if you can. That would be nice too. And really, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy these videos as much as I enjoy making. Again, thank you for watching. I'm producer Ivan Katz here at Omni Shoreham, Washington, D.C.